All right, hello everyone. We have quorum, so I officially call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. That was cool. All right, first up on the agenda would be call to order and orders of the day. So beginning with the roll call. Commissioner Chen, that is me, I am present. Commissioner Liu. Thank you. We press the button on the mic, it should turn on. Yeah. Commissioner Huang.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Khan.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Liu.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Bansal.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Sriram.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez Munoz.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Singh.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee.
Present.
Thank you. And Commissioner Chanapati.
Present.
Thank you. All right, and moving on to the consent calendar. Do we have a motion on the floor to approve all items A, B, and C under the consent calendar?
I, Commissioner Khan, motion to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Any seconds?
I, Commissioner Lee, second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor, we say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the consent calendar has been approved, and we can move on to section 3, public record. I do not believe we received any public record. Is that correct? Thank you. Okay. In that case, we can move on to open forum. Open forum today has been reduced to 1 minute for the sake of brevity due to the long agenda. So are there any members of the public who would wish to speak at this time?
Yes, we have one, Layla.
All right. All right, go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Layla Faruqi. I am a former District 10 Youth Commissioner, and I came to say hi to all of you. And I can't believe I used to sit in that chair. So this is my message to you in my minute. As a former District Commissioner and Youth Commissioner and current educator, I came here to check in on your group, and I'm sure the amazing work that you guys are all doing, especially with your busy agenda today, of course. I have been a part of many groups that no longer exist in my youth and as an adult so far, and that no longer exists. And I'm so glad that the Youth Commission is not one of them. Many of you are at a stage in your life where you will continue your work on the Youth Commission, and many of you are at a stage where you will continue to the next stage in your life. But either way, don't forget about each other and everything that you've been through together. And I'm here to say one thing that Betty Montoya used to tell us before she retired, who was our old supervisor. Never forget what it's like to be young. And when you get a chance, tell a young person that what they think matters, what they do matters. When you're no longer young, go and tell another young person that, because it matters what you do and what they will do in the future. Thank you. Thank you guys for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. We really appreciate that feedback. And yeah, it's my last meeting ever and I'm going to miss it. I would love to talk about it more, but unfortunately we do have to move on. But like, once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your comments. It means a lot. All right, we can move on to section 5. Oh, wait, sorry. It's just, are there any other members of the public who wish to comment at this time? All right, perfect. In that case, we can move on to section 5, discussion and action items. All right, first up, I believe we have a presentation by Ms. Porter.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Naomi Porter, and it's an honor to speak with all of you today virtually. I believe you can see the slides. Can you confirm that you can?
All right, yeah, we're good.
Perfect. Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Naomi Porter. I am serving as the student member to the California State Board of Education. And so I'm here to speak with you all today about opportunities to get involved on the statewide level. And so I'm going to be going over a little bit more about my role on the State Board of Education and kind of what that looks like, and also opportunities for all of you today. And then we'll have a little bit of a time for questions if you have them. But other than that, let's get started. So a little bit about me is I am currently a senior at Palos Verdes Peninsula High School, finishing out my 1-year term on the State Board of Education. A fun fact about me is that I completed my first triathlon I also served locally on my advisory committees, school site council, and if there's something like this in my area, I would definitely get involved. And so you all are doing such phenomenal work. And so it's truly an honor to speak with such talented students like yourself today. I represent 6 million students who are on the state board. That include all of you here today. So if you ever have ideas or concerns about what directly impacts your education, that is what I'm here for. I am that voice for you in Sacramento. Next slide. So what is the State Board of Education? So this is the 11-member State Board of Education, and we are California's K-12 policymaking body. And so we set curriculum standards, instructional materials, and assessments, and most importantly, accountability. We work with this thing called the LCAP, which is the Local Control Accountability Plan, basically making sure that local school districts have say over how they want to spend their funds and that local constituents know their people best, right? And we meet every other month for 2 days. And so to give you an example, well, what do we actually do, right? Well, we talked about things like CASP testing, which a lot of juniors are currently undergoing, and the use of school climate surveys. And we work a lot with career and technical education block grants. And so what is my role? What is the role of the student member? So I am just like another state board member in the sense that I prep agenda items, I think about the issues, I read public comment, I figure out what questions that I have, I attend student advisory council sessions to help gauge student feedback and student voice from around the state. I speak at conferences and events like these around the state to promote opportunities, because the most common reason why people don't apply for opportunities is simply because they don't know about them. And so that's why I'm here speaking with all of you today. So even if you don't take advantage of an opportunity that I'm sharing, I hope that you will be able to share with someone who you think might be able to take advantage of it. And so let's talk a little bit about school district structure. You all are very, very talented and you understand probably how your districts and your cities work, but just a brief overview, they are local governments, right? They're funded by taxpayer money, overseen by the state government, and you, the students, are the primary constituents, right? You are directly impacted by educational decisions every single day that you are at school. And I believe it is not only your right, but your responsibility to help make our school experience the best that it can be for every student. On the next slide, you'll see the structure of our education system. And ultimately, what does it all come down to? Students. And that's why it is so crucial that students have not only a voice on the state board, but also a vote. And so when you're starting to get ready with your advocacy and trying to figure out what matters to you, here are some important issues that commonly come up, especially on the local level, which is instruction and curriculum. That's more a statewide issue, but school meals or your bell schedules and arts and sports, funding, student rights, student opportunities. These are just some ways that you can start thinking about getting involved. And the best way to do that, well, let's take a look at the next slide, is to start talking to people. Administration, board members, superintendents, and who I think is one of the most helpful people are your district school and staff, as well as state legislators and the California Department of Education. If you find the right people, send an email and they likely will reach back out to you and say, I would love to have conversations with you because you're young. And exploring your district's website, there are endless opportunities available, as well as public comment. We already heard a great public comment today, so you guys are very familiar with that process, as well as student organizing, right? Talking with your friends and having forums and using social media to your advantage is crucial. And the last thing I want to share with you today is 2 opportunities. So these are opportunities for current freshmen or sophomores, people who are going to be juniors in the fall of 2023, and of course the next year as well. The first is to become the student member on the IQC, or the Instructional Quality Commission. And essentially, if you're really interested in working with curriculum and specifically publishers, what actually are we learning in school, right? Who are the textbooks that we're going to buy from? That's the IQC. And you would have full voting privileges, opening in August and it's due late September, and it's a 1-year term. And the next is to have my role. And again, full voting privileges, it's a 1-year term and it opens in August and it's due early October. I post both of these opportunities, but I wanted to share them with you so you can start thinking about ways that you might want to get involved so you can best be able to apply for these. Or if you're a current junior or a senior and you know someone who this opportunity would be perfect for, please share them share with them the application. And both of these roles are paid roles and they're full-time positions. And so this is a really great opportunity to be able to represent your students at a statewide level and take your advocacy on the statewide level. And so thank you guys so much again for this opportunity and to share a little bit more about my story. And I post board updates and opportunities to connect on my own personal Instagram, and as well as an email, which I'll put in the chat, my work email, which I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have there. If we don't have time, I deeply understand running a quick meeting. And so I wanted to be efficient and respectful of your time so you can get to the rest of the agenda items.
All right, thank you, Ms. Porter, for your time. It was really cool hearing from a student leader with so much experience and responsibility. And yeah, just thank you for letting us know about these amazing opportunities. And we will be sure to inform our YACs. And yeah, does anyone have any quick questions or comments? All right, if not, thank you for your time. Okay, and we can move on to the next item in discussion/action item section, which would be Mr. Lopez.
We're not mic'd here. Here we go. Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Anthony Lopez. I'm a public communications specialist with the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, otherwise known as BTA. And I'm joined by a few of my project team members, Christina Gotwaklo and Woody Hansen. We're here to basically inform you about the 28th Street Little Portugal transit-oriented development that's in progress and the work that we're doing there. Let's see. This particular development is a 10-acre property owned by BTA adjacent to the future 28th Street BART station. And it will be the first of 4 BART stations in BART Silicon Valley Phase 2. The property, the TOD property, or transit-oriented development property, is located on North 28th Street between East St. James and 5 Wounds Lane, in the old Union Pacific right-of-way between Santa Clara Street and Julian Street, near the 5 Wounds Church, for those who are familiar with the area near 101 and Santa Clara Street. The land has potential for mixed-use development with activated ground floor uses that increase transit ridership and catalyze other equitable developments and help provide revenue for transit capital investments and operations. The project is also located within the city of San Jose's 5 Wounds Urban Village, and that will influence the final development. And I'm going to pass the presentation on to Christina, who will tell you a little bit about the VTA's transit-oriented development program.
Thank you, Anthony. Who here has heard of transit-oriented development, or TOD? Okay. Well, welcome to tonight's presentation. So basically, you have probably been to a transit-oriented development yourself. They are basically real estate developments that take place next to transit stations. So for example, if you've been to SAP Center, that's right next to Diridon, or if you've been to actually San Pedro Square is right next to the 522 bus stops, or the 22 or the 23. Basically, all of these are transit-oriented developments. And so what we are doing here on the screen, there's a map that shows the 4 upcoming BART stations that are part of BART Silicon Valley Phase 2 extension. The first one on the far right is going to be this site at 28th Street Little Portugal Station. So as the BSV team is building that out, our team, and I'm on the real estate and transit oriented development team at VTA, is planning for the community serving housing and commercial spaces that will be built up around this future BART station. So the goal with transit oriented developments is to make it so that anyone who's living there has access to everyday needs, or people who work there or study there have everything kind of in walking distance. So you don't have to rely on a vehicle to take, to do your daily activities. And so BTA has a TOD program where we are taking some of our not old, but our current parking lots some of them are underutilized, and we're going to be building housing or commercial spaces on these parking lots, and at the same time working on these upcoming BART stations and the developments around them. So I will hand it to Woody.
Thanks, Christina. My name is Woody Hansen, and I'm an urban designer on the project team. I work for a firm called SiteLab Urban Studio. You're seeing some of our work here on the screen. And what we're on the team to do is to create a vision for what the future development is immediately surrounding that 28th Street Little Portugal BART station, the TOD, as Christina was mentioning. And so you might be asking, what is urban design? Urban design is a combination of architecture, landscape architecture, city planning, and listening. And that's actually one of the reasons we're here today, is the only way we're going to make this TOD project successful is to hear from people like you, who are going to be the users of this site well into the future. So looking at the screen, this is a map of the surrounding area. You can see Highway 101 cutting diagonally through the middle of the page. And you can see the blue line showing where Christina highlighted the BART line extending through San Jose, with the station occurring roughly where the BART logo is there. The red kind of orangey surround or line outlines the area that VTA will develop transit-oriented development on. And then you see the large black outline on the perimeter, which is a city-led initiative for the larger station area plan, which is happening simultaneously. So folks in the city planning department are working on a urban village plan for this larger area. So zooming in a little bit, this is a view kind of elevated above Santa Clara Station or Santa Clara Street, looking toward the future station site, which you can see kind of in the middle left of the page with a little heart emoji thing over it. To orient you as well, on the right is the Five Wounds National Parish. So you're seeing this land, which is basically behind the church in the large block surrounding the station, as well as on the west side of 28th Street. There's a very narrow sliver of land, which used to be railroad tracks, which will be converted into development, but also the Five Wounds Trail, which will connect creek to creek through the neighborhood along that alignment. And this is not the first time this area has been considered for development. BART has been in the cards to move to come to this area for quite some time. And what you're seeing on the left is a representation of a community-led planning effort called Communiversity from the late 2000s, 2008 approximately, where they created a vision for the site. A lot of things have changed since that time, including the alignment of the station itself. But since then, the city has done the Five Wounds Urban Village, which is currently the planning document that would guide development in this area. And since then, VTA has done what you're seeing on the right, which is the TOC playbook, creating a vision to try to move the Five Wounds Urban Vision Plan forward. So as we move forward with this project based on research and some of these past planning efforts, we've started to develop some goals of how we will move the project forward and some principles. And so these three have really been guiding us in our thinking and where we're basing our community engagement. So on the left, you're seeing that we have a goal of highlighting cultural identity of this area and specifically being able to address disparities that these neighborhoods face compared to the city at large. We also want to encourage new development that's both economically successful, but also grounded in place, something that's familiar and represents the surrounding communities. And also we want to make walking, biking, and transit the preferred modes of how you get to and from BART or to and from the commercial or residential that's going to be surrounding the station. So why are we here? This is a first meeting of sorts, and we wanted to bring to your attention that this project was happening and that you'll see community engagement opportunities coming up for having your voice heard regarding the station moving forward. And so what we're looking for is to engage stakeholders like you, bring community voices forward in this process so that this development can be familiar to all of us. So a couple of the types of questions that we're going to be asking in our engagement, particularly over the next month or two, are what do you find special or unique about the neighborhood that you would want the project team to know? Another is to close your eyes and imagine the station 20 years from now. What has changed and what are you happy to see has stayed the same? What kinds of spaces and services are hard to access that would be helpful to have closer by and nearer to the station, future station? And what else is important for the VTA team to know as we think about this site? So thank you for the time. Personally, I'm very impressed by this group of individuals. I wish I had this when I was in school, but super honored to be a part of the meeting tonight. If you have any interest or want to reach out to us directly, our emails are located there on the left. If you want to follow along the project, the website is there in the upper right. I mentioned the larger planning effort for this initiative that the city is doing. They're going to have a workshop in September on the 21st, which you're seeing represented there. There's a survey out right now, which we're taking active feedback on. So please scan the QR code there. And then we are also doing for this TOD project itself, a few focus groups in the next few weeks. So on April, goodness me, on June 13th, at 4:30 and at 7 p.m. at the Carnegie branch of the library on 24th in Santa Clara. We'll have focus group events there, which anyone is welcome to attend, yourselves or anyone else who might be interested. And then the 14th, the following day, we have a noon and a 6 p.m. Virtual focus group for those interested as well. So feel free to email us directly for more information there. Thank you so much for your time.
First of all, thank you so much for those last comments. It also really means a lot to us that you made the time to be a part of our meeting tonight. And secondly, yeah, thank you for such an insightful presentation. We all learned quite a bit, and things like urban development, I feel like often go underappreciated because we might not recognize them directly in our everyday lives. And it's just really cool to learn a little bit, learn some new things about it, right? And yeah, I believe Commissioner Khan, Liu, and Sriram and Champati have quick questions. So just in that order. Commissioner Khan, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and your busy afternoons, I'm sure, to come and present this to us. We really appreciate it. Just a couple of quick comments and then a follow-up question. I'll start with the question. One of the VTA transit-oriented developments that you have is housing choices for everyone. Are you going to make it perhaps an effort to make sure that housing is affordable? Maybe different than other housing projects around San Jose?
Yeah, there will be at least 300 affordable housing units as part of this project and possibly more, but the goal would be to have a mixed batch of a mixed income. So a range of spectrum based on the community needs.
Interesting. Yeah. Personally, based off of what I think I see and what majority of like District 4 leading into District 5 would see is a lot of poverty, meaning a lot of homelessness and people not having affordable housing. So like I can say that District 4 would love to see one of the goals that VTA takes on is affordable housing for people in areas that you're building stations for. I think that would be a really, really good addition. The other part of I wanted to mention was that in your Little Portugal TOD Guide to Development, I think that one thing maybe should also be taken into consideration is the environment and how transportation can be environmentally stable. I personally believe public transportation is a big thing. It can be a really environmentally stable thing to do if we urbanly plan it out correctly and we put it to good use. That's why I love VTA, and I use VTA all the time, you know, whether it's to go to the mall or just even get to school sometimes. But I think that if we made it, I guess, more accessible, then we can also make it more environmentally stable. So that's maybe something to keep in mind. And then lastly, the other thing is for question number 3, when you asked what kinds of spaces and services are hard to access, that would be helpful to have close by. I live in District 4 since I'm the District 4 Youth Commissioner. And today I was planning on taking a bus to come to downtown. I was planning on taking VTA, and I realized that there was multiple buses that I needed to take. So maybe taking into account how we can improve the current VTA system and make it a little bit more faster and easier to use, instead of like hopping off at one bus stop, waiting 30 minutes to go to another bus stop, or walking a 30-minute distance to go to the next bus stop. You know, amending the current VTA system to be more accessible and applicable to the current goals that you guys have would be a great thing, I think. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, up next would be Commissioner Liu.
Yeah, thank you. I have the privilege of representing District 5. And of course, our district is more densely populated. That means lots of cars, lots of emissions in terms of transportation use. And my question to you is, do you know if this development project contributes to the overall climate goals, whether that be the city, the county, or at a national level? Thank you.
You know, that's a good question. I'm sure it does. The one of the goals is to reduce vehicle miles traveled. So that's one of the goals of VTA's transit-oriented communities policy, which is where all of the work that we're doing kind of falls under that umbrella.
I might just add one more thing, some stats like to that point. So today, or in 2019, roughly 3/4 of the trips taken in San Jose were by single occupant vehicles. So what that means is one person was getting in their car and driving to wherever their destination was. That hasn't really come down very much since 2019. And the general plan for 2040 wants to cut that to 50% of people. So that's a huge jump that needs to happen. And then Climate Smart, which is a program that the city enacted a number of years ago, then targets 2050 to have only 25% of vehicles for single occupant trips. So imagine that's cutting in a third the number of people who as an individual hop in their car and go somewhere. So there really needs to be this shift away from thinking about getting in your vehicle to go somewhere as your first instinct and moving toward that being, like the former commissioner was talking about, taking the bus, taking BART, taking transit, biking, walking, and making those services more accessible. So to the extent that we can consolidate development around transit, we're definitely furthering those goals.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that services such as BART, light rail, and the future Caltrain will be run by electric power, which can be renewable and reduce carbon emissions greatly. So these transit-oriented developments being built near those corridors allow people to take full advantage of those backbones of transportation that we have in the Bay Area.
All right, moving on to Commissioner Siro.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, which I'm sure is very busy, to come and talk to us. But first, I just wanted to mention that it's just truly amazing, all the small characteristics of this larger broader plan, which includes, for example, maintaining the character of the surrounding area, also planning for parking, which especially in San Jose is very important. And also I think the Five Winds Trail as well, just mentioned. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on the trail itself, or maybe the planning for it, how you were planning on going about that, since it just is a really interesting idea.
Sure. Thank you for the comment. And we agree. I mean, the Five Winds Trail is really this opportunity to shift more people having interest in walking and biking to the station. It's actually an initiative that's been thought about for over a decade now. There's a website called Friends of the Five Wounds Trail, which if you're interested in has a lot more information about like where it's come from and where it is today and its planning. The part that VTA will deliver is the section between Santa Clara and Julian Street, so immediately in front of the station. But this broader corridor basically follows the alignment of the old railroad tracks that extended through this neighborhood and to the north and to the south. So it'll be converted into a trail similar to what you would see along Guadalupe River, Los Gatos Creek, other creek corridors where roughly a 20-foot wide trail that gives you access for biking and walking.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, final question, Commissioner Pazzi.
Yeah, just as my fellow commissioners have said, thank you very much for coming here and presenting to us and taking the time out of your day to talk to us. I just have a general question, nothing too specific. I know you mentioned Little Portugal. So I was wondering, in the recent years, have there been any like major urban planning developments in Little Portugal?
Well, the city's urban village plan includes more than just Little Portugal. You can look them up, but they're all over the city. And the city has been working on that plan for quite some time. So we're not the first group to have designs in that area. However, we are working in concert with the city, as I mentioned. So that's an important aspect of what we're doing, is making sure that not only are we taking our due diligence to achieve this vision, but that we're working closely with our city and county partners to make sure that it aligns with the needs of the communities.
Okay, yeah, thank you again.
All right, I don't believe there are any more questions. So once again, just thank you so much for your time. And yeah, it was really great having you guys here. Yeah.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
please take the survey and let everyone know about that survey so we can get more input. Thank you.
Will do. All right, we can move on to the next item in section 5, which would be item C by our very own Ms. Malloy.
Hello, commissioners. So today I'm joined by Lizzie Nolan and our Deputy Director, Michelle Arnott. The first item that we're here to talk to you about, 2 items. The first one is going to be about the Enhancing Youth Commission and Youth Participation in the City memo recommendation. This was originally a memo that was brought to the commission from the ad hoc. So it was originally given, just to remind you, you guys have already voted on this once in March. To remind you, this was a council directive given by Councilmember Cohen from District 4 about the Youth Commission exploring the possibility of expanding the ages of those who participate on the Youth Commission, as well as the possibility of putting designated youth seats on other commissions. And then library staff were to report on that. So an ad hoc was developed, and through lots of different meetings and sort of exploration, recommendations were developed. Those recommendations were then approved with you all in March. And then from there, we took those recommendations to the office of the city manager, where we met with Deputy City Manager Angel Rios. And we received some sort of feedback and kind of worked with the city attorney in terms of feasibility of those recommendations. And a couple things have changed, which is why we're back here today, because we need to, I want to show you those changes and have you guys vote, hopefully to pass those changes through so we can move them forward in the process of presenting this to the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee in June, on June 8th. So in this slide before you, you'll see right now, this is the current municipal code, the functions, powers, and duties of the Youth Commission. Now it's just a chunk of it, but that's how it reads. It's function, powers and duties. It says the commission shall have the following functions, powers and duties. It goes all the way, I believe, to item G. It could be wrong, could be H. Then the draft that you all passed in March is in the center, and we added this preamble section where we were asking any items, legislation that fall within the scope of the youth master plan or the youth commission work plan had to be brought to the commission, and we set a very specific timeline of the way that those items would be brought to the commission, and then recommendation would be made. Upon sort of working with the city manager's office and city attorney, there are some suggested revisions, and this is what we're asking you all to more or less adopt and approve now. I will read it out loud to you. The purpose of the commission is to collect all information relevant to advising the city council and mayor on the effects of legislative policies, needs, assessments, priorities, programs, and budgets concerning the children and youth of San Jose. Before the city council takes final action on any matter that falls within the scope of the commission's adopted work plan or the city of San Jose Children and Youth Master Plan, the city manager's office shall refer the matter to the commission for comment and recommendation. This referral requirement should not apply to any matter where immediate action by the city council is necessary to protect public interest. The commission shall have the following functions, powers, and duties. A, to foster greater involvement of the youth in municipal government and civic affairs, especially in the city of San Jose. B, to study, review, evaluate, advise, and submit recommendations to city council or city manager pertaining to any problems, opportunities, activities, and concerns of youth as they relate to municipal policies, programs, or projects of the city. So that preamble was shortened, and the timeline was more or less removed, as it was very restricting and didn't really work within the confines and the way that city council operates. And then item B was changed. If you review item B between the current section and on the revised section, you'll see that it directly suggests the power and duty to provide a recommendation specifically to problems and opportunities, which is one of the main things I see coming from the Youth Commission is opportunities through your policy recommendations. So that is what we are asking. The full memo is in your packet, and that's what we would be presenting at the NSC June 8th. And assuming that you all approve this, I am asking those returning commissioners to come and provide public comment on this item on June 8th. I think it would make a very strong case for the work that you all did in creating these recommendations in the memo.
All right, thank you. I believe we have one question from Commissioner Liu.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I'd like to ask why a reason why the timeline on the proposal was amended and changed and removed ultimately.
Ultimately, just kind of the way city council works, it was very restrictive. The timeline was originally put in there because the context in which this preamble was originally pulled, which you suggested, Commissioner Liu, from the San Francisco Youth Commission, they have a timeline in there. They meet more often than our Youth Commission does. And this timeline that was originally in there was something that sounded like it worked within the original posting date of our Youth Commission agendas and within the window of the posting date of the city council agendas, which is about 3 days difference. That's really it. While it would work, it would be very restrictive in terms of the way things would be able to move through city council. What we have learned in doing this is that our administration receives, the library administration receives these things called horizon reports. So they kind of have an idea of what's going to be upcoming on city council, as well as using the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee work plan, which is done within 6 months' time. It kind of gives us a larger window to prepare policy response and recommendation to the items that we foresee coming up, rather than giving us just a 3 days response period. which is a very tight window. And as we know from trying to write a letter at our last commission meeting, can be kind of tricky to do on the spot. But this way we can kind of plan our recommendations and policies to different items that affect youth a little bit more strategically. By removing that very specific timeline, it gives us a little bit more freedom as a youth commission.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to respond to that. If that's okay.
Sorry, Andrew. I'm sorry, Commissioner Lee, we can't do that. All right, but yeah, thank you for your time. And just to echo Ms. Moy's comments really quickly, June 8th, County Commissioners, please mark your calendars and please be there. All right, and that's it.
That's not it.
That's not it.
It's an action item.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, still learning, you know?
Chair-
That's
Chair Chen, before we move on to voting, we do have
okay, cool. Yeah,
on Zoom, all right?
sounds good.
Paul Soto, go ahead and speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Racism is not included in the language. Instead of, because we know that the city of San Jose and its policies have been infected, and I use that word explicitly, that and accurately, that all of the policies and issues are not problems. They are institutionalized racism that needs to be amended. So when you're using language in your mission statement in terms of what it is that your duties are and your responsibilities are, I think that accurate language is very important within this context, and that you really start getting used to the idea that your role as youth commissioners is to educate yourself around how we still have in existence institutionalized racism, and how can the Youth Commission be instrumental in amending that. And so that would have to be included, though.
All right, thank you, Mr. Soto. Do we have any other comments?
Chair, real quick. I'd like to make a point of information.
All right, cool, keep it quick.
To my knowledge and understanding, this proposal was amended without further discussion from other youth or a member of this body. Is that right?
Not necessarily. This amendment is coming to you. It is the exact same language. The timeline is removed. And some of the functions and powers and duties is moved into item B. The original language and the language that still stands there today was that which was developed and approved through the youth ad hoc. The only thing that's changed, just for efficiency purpose, was by the suggestion of the city attorney and the city manager's office, is the timeline.
So it was not.
Commissioner Lee, I'm going to cut you off there. All right. All right. Is that all? Are there any other comments from the public or any other commissioners? All right, if not, are there any motions on the floor to proceed to vote?
I, Commissioner Singh, motion to vote.
Any seconds?
I, Commissioner Khan, second that motion.
All right, and let's do this electronically this time. I don't believe this vote is to adjourn the meeting. It's for. Fortunately, not quite yet. But all right, thank you. All right, the motion passes with 9 votes for and 2 abstentions. Okay, we can move on to item D in this section now, presented by the library staff.
Still me.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just bringing up like old stuff for you guys to talk about again. So this is as you remember at the March meeting as well. So in the February meeting, Ms. Cole from Kids in Common, she was the Kids in Common Fellow, came to you guys with a revised Bill of Rights from Santa Clara County that was revised through the input of all youth in Santa Clara County. They did hold a forum with you all back in October, I believe, and they came with you with a completed version. In March, what we did was we wrote a letter encouraging our city council to endorse the Bill of Rights. Through some discussion there's been discussion, and right now we have a recommendation to approve the revised version of the letter to city council that was originally drafted by you guys. The main difference is instead of endorse, the word has been changed to adopt. But this was the original letter that was written by the Youth Commission at the March meeting. The only change is the word adopt. And so what this letter does, it asks city council to adopt the revised version of this Bill of Rights. And yes, next slide. So why this matters. So the city's adoption of this Bill of Rights for children and adults, it helps build stronger pathways for collaboration with our partners. There are other groups, the Alum Rock School District, the Santa Clara County, and I believe there's one other group that I'm forgetting that have already gone ahead and adopted this specific version of the Bill of Rights. It should be included in your packet. This city's Bill of Rights was built upon a version of the county's Bill of Rights that was originally written without any youth input or consent or participation, whereas this new version has youth participation. It is youth directed. Believe it nothing for us without us, and that is the way that this Bill of Rights was written. So by asking for the city council to adopt this new revised version of the Bill of Rights, it will replace the current version, which was recently updated by the Youth Commission in 2021. So there's a strong alignment between the two. The only real difference between the two documents is this new revised, we're calling it the County Bill of Rights, does have an article that specifically says that children and youth have the right to green spaces, and has an article that is specific to children and youth having choice. Beyond that, all of the articles that are within the current San Jose City Children and Youth Bill of Rights are represented within this revised version of the County Bill of Rights. It is a little bit more philosophical, whereas there are more action-oriented sub-items in the current city one. So the plan is that with city council, if you guys approve this a letter, it'll go to the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee, where it'll be presented by Ms. Buzo and the city manager's office, and then it will be approved and adopted by the city council. So in the 2023-2024 work plan, the Youth Commission can sort of map the sub-articles that are from our former city Bill of Rights, or our current city Bill of Rights, which will then be former, and this new revised Bill of Rights, and create a very strong roadmap to the city being able to implement and make sure that these rights are upheld by all youth within the city.
All right, first up, we have a question from Commissioner Khan.
I just want to say that the Youth Bill of Rights, I had a chance to review it, and I do really believe that it covers everything. I like how the language is written a little bit loosely, really similar to our amendments in the Constitution, so that the rights can be implied in any way possible. Just out of curiosity, though, one thing that came to my mind is, let's say that these rights, like for whatever reason, are being violated and they're not being completed or held to the standard that is in this Bill of Rights plan, right? Does the plan or rights bill include any like precautions for that to not happen, or any type of system where we can ensure that this will be upheld?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. I'm Michelle Arnott, Deputy Director of Public Services for the library. And we have two ways that we're looking at this as a city. The first is that there was an audit of the Youth Bill of Rights that was conducted. And as part of an audit process, the city departments have obligation to sort of cross-reference what we're doing as departments in fulfillment of those rights. The adoption of a new county Bill of Rights, it does not affect the fidelity of that audit. So that will be crosswalked. Secondly, we have the Children and Youth Services Master Plan, which is tied to this Bill of Rights foundationally. So we'll have two mechanisms for that, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Just want to get permission really quickly. Yeah, I think that that is a great way to, keep in check by across referencing the audit. But I guess to kind of restate my question, how do you, is there a process or like a system in place, or anybody who I guess will be kind of checking to make sure that, for example, Article 1, they have a healthy mind, body, and soul that enables them to their maximize their potential, right? How do we like measure that and make sure that Article 1 is being met with all youth?
I appreciate that question. So as part of the Children and Youth Services Master Plan and this larger ecosystem, the aspiration is that we will be able to put those things into place. By adopting the county, this county version of the Bill of Rights and having other partners come on board in a way that the current Bill of Rights is sort of singular and solo, now we can create an ecosystem where you have more checks and balances between our agencies. It creates a consortium, so to speak. So it is aspirational, and it is part of that work that we want to ensure that we can, as a county, as a community, be accountable for what you are saying.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right. I also have a really brief question. So I just want to sort of understand the significance and the rationale behind the language change from endorse to adopt.
Adopt is you're asking the city council to officially take on this in replacement of the current city Bill of Rights. Whereas endorsing was just saying, hey, we as a youth commission like this. We think you guys should, kind of support and like this too. Whereas we are actually by asking for adopt the youth commission would be asking the city council to replace the current Bill of Rights as they stand with this new revised version.
Okay, got it. So this is for the petition to city council. Okay, makes sense to me. All right. I don't see any other speakers. Does anyone else want to comment? Anyone from the public?
We have one on Zoom and one in person, so we'll take the in person first.
All right, perfect.
The podium.
All right, the floor is yours.
Hi all. I'm Jane. I'm a San Jose resident, longtime mental health advocate, Santa Clara County. Regarding the addition of choice and rights. My concern is privacy rights in terms of mental health and Medicaid, Medi-Cal. and our low income communities and children of color and gender. And at the state level, I was trying to access privacy, see if there was any privacy rights around sensitive personal information. And I was just concerned that I didn't see a way to download
Thank
medical information. So just in terms of boundaries and trust and
I'm sorry, but the
rights.
time
Thank you.
has elapsed. But yeah, I think we speak for all of us when we say we definitely will keep privacy concerns in mind when we proceed to vote. And there is one more. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Mr. Soto.
Thank you, Paulson. My apologies for the commissioner's name, but those were excellent questions. And the reason why they're excellent is because none of the language is live bonding. I think that's the direction you were going. Like, for instance, there's a particular allocation or particular action that is not consistent. Legally take that to court and challenge that. And where philosophically the city says that yes, this is what we're doing because we care about our children, but they're lying.
All right, thank you, Mr. Soto. As always, your feedback is really valuable. And that wraps up all those who like to comment. All right, in that case, are there any motions on the floor to proceed to vote?
I, Commissioner Khan, make a motion to approve the Children and Youth Master Plan.
Thank you.
I, Commissioner John Infatti, second Commissioner Khan's motion.
All right, thank you. Let's wait for the vote. All right, the motion passes with 10 votes for and 1 abstention. All right, thank you for your time. Okay, now that we have wrapped up with that item, we can proceed to Commissioner Huang's policy proposal.
Thank you. So this policy is about increasing housing distance from highways. And just reading off the background, in San Jose, housing has been a consistent issue. This has led to numerous temporary solutions aimed to mitigate the housing crisis in our city. One of these temporary solutions is expanding housing areas to dangerously close proximities to busy highways and freeways. While this may be beneficial to our city by increasing the number of housing units provided for residents, there are several severe, irreversible health impacts that outweigh the benefit of additional housing. Exposure to toxic air contaminants emitted from pollutants from freeways is correlated to cancer, birth defects, and neurological, reproductive, and respiratory problems. Additionally, fine particulate matter from these highways and freeways can travel deep into the lungs and compromise the respiratory system, triggering asthma attacks, aggravating bronchitis, diminishing lung function, causing atherosclerosis, ischemic strokes, and heart attacks. Furthermore, it is often socioeconomic lower residents or Black, Indigenous people of color who live closer to these highways due to reduced housing costs, making these zoning laws a racial and class issue that directly impacts marginalized communities and their health. The City of San Jose's 2040 general plan was updated to include many environmentally sustainable goals, such as reducing residents' exposure to toxic air contaminants. Corresponding to these changes, the buffer land between a highway or freeway and a residential area can be used as an attractive open space for recreational uses instead of residential use. These undeveloped areas can give a visual effect of being a greenway, Planting vegetation in these zones provides the additional benefit of trapping air pollution and offering mental relief for residents by obstructing their view of the highway, meaning that these spaces are not the best for residential structures. They can still be utilized in an impactful, environmentally and socially friendly way. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Huang. I believe Commissioner Khan has a question / comment.
I first off would like to say that this memorandum and recommendation is very unique, very well thought out of and well researched. So I would just like to congratulate you on that and say well done. I did have one question. Is there any particular place in terms of district-wise or I guess railroad area that you would like this policy to be enacted?
Off the top of my head, there are no specific areas that I can think of right now, but in general, this would be helpful, especially for the health of residents in marginalized communities. But as you know, there are already many housing areas that are built near highways, so there isn't much that we can do about that. So this policy is mostly focused on the future tense of these housing districts.
Thank you so much.
All right, Commissioner Liu, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This is definitely a great proposal, and I wanted to touch on what you just said in response, and that is yes, it does positively affect communities that already have that don't already have housing development already built, and has less of an impact on communities that are more densely populated. So I wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
All right, cool. Any other comments from the other commissioners or members of the public?
There's one on Zoom.
All right, go ahead.
Paul Soto.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Commissioner Wong, thank you. That was excellent. That was excellent. As a person that grew up right beside you could throw a rock and hit the 280 from my barrio in the Horseshoe. This was an environmental disaster to my barrio because of the freeway that was cut right through there and then cut right through Sasipuedes. I mean, it was very clear what population they wanted to dislocate is what it is. They literally dislocated it from the body. These were very connected barrios at that time. And it did create an environmental issue because, I mean, how would you like to live? I mean, just literally right next to a freeway and all of these fumes and all these gases going on. And how many people have acquired respiratory problems as a result of it? So the language that you used and the positions that you held and the research that you did was excellent. And those things need to be talked about openly in these meetings. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the community.
Back to the commission.
All right, thank you, Mr. Soto. Are there any other comments from any commissioners? And all right, if not, we can move on to the next item, which would be right, my bad. Are there any motions on the floor to proceed to vote? Thank you. Any seconds?
I, Commissioner Gonzalez Muñiz, second that motion.
Thank you. We can wait for the vote now. All right, the motion unanimously passes. Thank you, Commissioner Huang, once again. And now we can move on to the next item, which would be Commissioner Khan's policy proposal.
All right, thank you, everyone. So today I will be presenting the District 4 policy, period poverty policy recommendation in collaboration with District 3. So in the previous meeting, we run a little bit of stats, but I'll just quickly brush over them again and focus mainly on where this recommendation of policy was changed. So according to a study conducted by San Jose State University, about 14% of US college attending women in 2020 experienced period poverty or the lack of access to menstrual products. This is due to the inherent poverty that many residents in San Jose suffer from. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are over 84,000 residents, with around 45,000 of them being women, which is more than half of the population. More so, in the US, 22 states have a tax on period solutions because they're considered non-essential goods. Women living in poverty may have to choose between buying food for their children or buying period products, and some girls may miss school while being on their period. So in summary, we would like City Council to do two things to help alleviate period poverty in San Jose. First, we would like to order a restock on all menstrual products, machines within public toilets and restrooms, or to reinstate SB 59 equity period, stating that all state-owned buildings and those that administer state services, along with state-funded hospitals, should provide free menstrual products. We would also like City Council to reinstate AB 367, which reestablishes the Menstrual Equity Act of 2012, stating that all CSUs, California State Universities, and California Community Colleges, and UCs, University of California Schools, and other private higher education institutions also restock menstrual period products. Now, moving on to funding, the town of Brookline has this is basically stats and research that was conducted from cities who have like a similar range of population and similar demographics. And so as us and the math and numbers were crunched to kind of give an estimate as to how much it would cost us and how much we will be implementing when we implement this policy. So for example, the town of Brookline roughly has a population of 59,000 people, and the estimated cost was about $40,000, with a $7,300 fee for maintenance and keeping up with the restock. In Salt Lake City, a population of roughly 200,000 people and 20% of the San Jose's population, which is 20% of San Jose's population, had a budget of $20,000 to offer menstrual products for free. So this aligns with our work plan coordination, subject 4, promote awareness about various issues and opportunities for San Jose youth. The way that we would like to follow up in coordination with City Council is to request that they work heavily with the Racial Equity Department and the Youth Commission to make sure that this policy becomes long-lasting and follows through. We would also like to recommend City Council to partner with outside organizations such as AAUW, San Jose branch, which seeks to advance gender equality for women and girls through research, education, and advocacy. And that is it for me today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. First up, I think we have Commissioner Bansal.
Okay, Nuha, I just want to say that I think I speak on behalf of all women when I say that menstrual products are definitely a necessity. And I just love that this policy proposal is working to just allow that privilege for everybody. And I'm just saying, good job. Love it.
All right, Commissioner Singh.
Yeah, so I know last time there was a disagreement on the amount of like research numbers that was put into the policy, and I really think that your revision has like eased all of those out. And I just want to say congrats for making a thorough policy.
Yeah, all right, Commissioner Liu.
Yeah, thank you for the proposal again. A question. So Brookline, their estimated cost was $40,000. Do you know specifically what department that comes from? Possibly. I just wanted to ask that question so that perhaps the city has a similar department that they want to work with that might align better with.
I'm unsure as to exactly what department the money might have come off of, but I think in the follow-up and coordination plan, specifically for San Jose, we mentioned the Racial Equity Department because I've reached out to them in coordination as to what department of San Jose, because there is really no like women's department within San Jose to kind of push this policy through and get it passed. So I would assume I reached out to the Racial Equity Department in terms of equity, and there was some talk and collaboration, and I think that the Racial Equity Department would be a really good place to partner up with.
All right. Moving on to Commissioner Janapati.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for this very thoughtful policy proposal. I think you always bring in everything that you bring in always is well thought of, well researched, and it's always tackling on a very important issue. And I just want to congratulate you on that. So thank you.
All right. Do any members of the public wish to comment?
We have two, Paul Soto and T. Lund. Paul Soto first.
All right.
Paul, go ahead.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Commissioner Khan, and thank you. That was excellent. Man, the way that you creatively went to the Racial Equity Office and made the connection between women's issues and the racial equity issues do overlap. And so you being seeing that and seeing that this is the right department to go to, which it is, excellent work. I'd also like to suggest that you amend it to go down to the junior high school level, to the girls that are experiencing it at that level, because this is the first introduction into the menstrual cycle for women, that if there's any kind of amendment that you can make to the policy, that it extend to those students, because it's a very critical time in their lives, and to be not only experiencing that, but their parents experiencing the financial responsibility of providing that. And what idiot said that it wasn't essential? I can't believe that was actually.
Next, T. Lund.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Lund. Just like to say, I know what boys like. I know what guys need. Nigger on it, play games. Niggers want
All
to
right.
eat.
I think we should cut this off.
I know what nigger.
Yeah,
I know what boys
we
want.
appreciate the amazing vocals, but maybe you should take that to a concert stage next time, where talents be more appreciated. Yeah. But seriously though, keep singing. You rock. All right, is that it? All right. Barring anyone else wanting to break out into song, I think we can proceed to motion. Really quickly though, I would like to echo some of the previous sentiments, just say congrats on putting together another really well thought out, well researched, and just really impactful policy proposal. But yeah. All right. Are there any motions on the floor to proceed to vote?
I, Commissioner Liu, make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Any seconds?
I second Commissioner Liu's motion.
All right. We can wait for the vote now. The motion unanimously passes. Yay. All right, we can move on to item G, which would again be Commissioner Khan.
Okay. So this is the San Jose District 4 Youth Advisory Council Hazardous Waste Pickup System. So the recommendation, or Article 1, the City of San Jose should implement a household hazardous waste system, a residential curbside pickup system available to all San Jose residents in order to reduce the amount of incorrectly disposed HHW in the city. So just a quick background, an increasing amount of HHW is continually generated. Much of the waste is improperly disposed of. Some are thrown in the trash and others are poured down the sink. Improperly disposed HHW poses a significant problem for people and the environment, as toxic waste can contaminate waterways and water waste treatment sources. Brief research. HHW, including e-waste, intangibles, corrosives, and toxics are detrimental to the environment. Many are flammable and can cause contamination, leading to the potential health concerns. Specifically, HHW can contaminate water sources and cause health concerns such as cancers and genetic mutations. HHW is a growing concern according to the EPA. An average household generates about 20 pounds of hazardous waste each year, totaling to about 530,000 tons of HHW per year. Implementing a HHW collection system, in addition to the existing trash and recycling pickup programs, would reduce the amount of HHW that is incorrectly disposed of by San Jose residents. Solvency. Existing systems for garbage and recycling collections are effective in separating the collection of two types of waste and ensuring the recyclables are handled correctly. Additionally, San Francisco City has begun rolling out hazardous waste bins that are placed around city's neighborhoods. Now, funding. we would need to create a new garbage system, which would follow San Francisco City's method of creating a separate waste can for hazardous waste with information on the bin, including what is considered to be hazardous waste. The San Jose model plans includes a 11,000 to over 20,000 a piece to manufacture. However, this cost is due to the material of the bins that will significantly reduce once the bins are mass produced. This also follows in the work plan coordination of Subject 5, advise and prompt City Council to act upon youth priorities and input, which is environmental services. The Youth Commission sincerely hopes that the Honorable Mayor and its council will adopt this policy as it reaffirms our city's commitment to environmental sustainability and effective waste management while ensuring that our community can continue to thrive. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Khan. Commissioner Huang, go ahead.
Hi, so I did some quick research when I was reading your policy, and I found that there was a very similar one that was already on the City of San Jose's website. It goes by basically the same name, I think, household hazardous waste, except it's a drop-off instead of a curbside pickup. I'd like to know the advantages of having a curbside pickup and the differences in the processes.
Yeah, so actually District 4, our YAC works really closely with Councilmember David Cohen's office, District 4, where it's very common to plan a once a month waste cleanup system or a tree planting day, basically to help promote the environment. And in collaborating with their office, we ended up finding out about the immense amount of pricing, the immense amounts of like volunteer coordination, and just the amount of work and time that could be saved with, let's say, a policy that was taken out when planning it. So cleanups are great, drive-throughs, drop-offs are great, but they do take a lot of time and money to plan and coordinate. Essentially, that's what I'm saying. So we wanted to plan a policy instead that would be more effective and would work long-term, regardless of whether the people are here to plan the pickup or not.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep it quick.
Because one of the main issues with that and household hazardous waste is its contamination of waterways. I wanted to ask if you're putting them on the curbside and suddenly, one of those like flash starts, like the rain flash thing, would the contaminated waste be washed into like nearby sewers and then not be picked up?
So can I just like describe a situation? Can you tell me if what I'm thinking is what you're thinking too? Like imagine like there's a trash can and then it rains and then like all of the access from the bin goes into the sewer system. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think that would depend on the way that we design the bins. The bins won't be like your typical like garbage cans or recycle cans. They're going to be something that is meant to hold, pertain, and like preserve hazardous waste so that it's not like leaking or the fumes and chemicals aren't going anywhere else. So it would depend on the way that the bin is designed.
Commissioner Lee, go ahead.
Yes, first of all, I just want to say this is a great proposal. I think this is really something that we can work on, and if we can introduce this to the city, I think this is really great to have. Just a few thoughts that I have. I think, especially considering how the city of San Jose currently sorts out their waste, I know that they do this thing that's called back-end processing, where a lot of the waste that we send out isn't actually sorted by homeowners, it's actually sorted by the city itself. And so one thing that I was thinking about while I was thinking of that is a question of just curious to know if there's anything in the proposal regarding changing the culture, I guess I would say, of homeowners and how they might sort their waste, because something like this, I guess, would require people to make that specific motion of putting their hazardous waste in a specific sorting system. So I'm curious to know.
Yes, there is actually. I'm trying to look for it. There is a part of the proposal that says how there will be like information written on the hazardous waste can of like what is considered to be hazardous waste and like where like or how you should separate it. Like for example, like an injection or like which would be considered a hazardous waste, or like some sort of like antibiotics and stuff like that that also are considered hazardous waste. Like what differentiates that from stuff that should be thrown in the garbage, should be recycled. So that information is going to be on the garbage can itself, or hazardous waste can, I should say.
All right, Commissioner Khan, I have a quick question too. So earlier you mentioned that it depends on how we design the bin. But my question is, who's we in this situation? So who's going to be designing the bins? And yeah, in general, like who's going to be coordinating all of this?
That's a great question. I think when I was writing the bill, or the policy recommendation, I was kind of assuming that it would be like the people, the San Jose Municipal, who's in charge of like the current garbage collection, distribution, and garbage systems and stuff like that. So it's very similar to the one that San Francisco followed, where they pushed out this policy recommendation, and then under, you know, the idea that these are like, this is to like preserve hazardous waste. So then that would go and follow through with in this case, the San Jose Municipal, who are in charge of the garbage and recycling and stuff like that. And then I think that when I say we, I mean they and the Youth Commission would maybe be collaborating and seeing how the bins should be designed.
I see, I understand. So just to clarify, this would sort of be folded into the existing waste disposal services that the city does offer.
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right, cool, cool. Does any members of the public wish to comment?
We have one public comment on Zoom.
All right.
Matthew,
Squidward's ball sacks.
All right, okay, that's
Ball
enough.
sack, ball sack, ball sack.
That's enough. That's enough. All right, I think, yeah, okay. Okay, no other public comments?
we do have one more. Jane.
All right, the floor is yours.
Yeah, as Jane again. Yeah, this is a great proposal, Commissioner Khan, and I just, yeah, I mean, like anything electric cords, you know, of course, batteries. But I just, yeah, I collect things in my garage, and I have to make an appointment, you know, to take it down to the pickup site that I think you mentioned, or one of you mentioned too. And but I just got a real chuckle about antibiotics being hazardous waste when you mentioned that. So yeah, just anyway, the whole drug industry, you know, whether it's street drugs, which are now getting legislated to be actually favorable for our bodies, you know, some of these.
Thank you, Jane.
So
Back to the commission.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Does anyone else wish to speak from the public? All right, in that case, are there any motions on the floor to proceed to vote?
I, Commissioner Bunzel, motion to start voting.
Thank you. Any seconds?
I, Commissioner Shriram, second Commissioner Bansal's motion.
Thank you. And let's wait for the vote. All right, the motion passes with 10 votes for and 1 abstention. Cool. In that case, we can move on to Commission Vice Chair Sriram's policy proposal on non-listed lines.
Yeah, so essentially this particular policy proposal is to require schools to establish anonymous tip lines for school safety. So as many of us know, the number of armed weapon shootings and also school shootings occurring per year has dramatically increased since 2020. In fact, a 163% increase of shooting incidents taking place on school grounds, as seen in data from 2022. Additionally, in 81% of school attack incidents, at least one person was aware that the aggressor was considering an attack, while 93% of attackers also displayed behavior that raised concern amongst various members of the school community, ranging from adults to peers. Therefore, it is important that schools establish a manner of communicating the school community's knowledge of a potential attack that could be a threat to the school safety. And it is essential in developing more effective and proactive school safety strategies. Therefore, anonymous tip lines are a way to help alert school, local, and state officials of potential threat to school safety. And the city of San Jose can contribute to lowering the currently extremely high incidence of school violence that affects people of all ages. And essentially, tip lines are currently something that various schools around the nation are planning on implementing. However, as of February 2020, only 51% of schools have actually established a tip line. And however, it's important to note that in surveys conducted regarding the effectiveness of tip lines, 73% of principals reported that tip lines have actually prevented potential occurrences of self-harm, and 50% noticed that tip lines helped avert any potential incidents of violence. Therefore, these tip lines also come in various formats. Students can use messaging, email, or also send social media posts as a way of informing police, school officials, and other adults who are responsible in communicating with the school regarding school safety, regarding any potential threats. And yeah, I would say that is a basic summary of it. But yeah.
All right, Commissioner Liu, go ahead.
Great policy proposal. I had a question. So having tip lines, having phone calls, emails, I'm assuming that it requires a person.
Yes, having phone calls would require a person, and this would be an administrator in many situations, which would be like a responsible adult. However, it's also important to note that if the person who is reporting a certain incident, they have the option of remaining anonymous, which also protects like confidentiality themselves. But yes, it would require an adult on the other side.
Interesting. How would mandated reporting work in those situations? Mandated reportings.
Could you like specify, I guess, like what you mean by like mandated?
Yeah. So if a student, for example, is considering self-harm and the phone line is anonymous, how could that administrator possibly take steps that are legally required for them to take?
Yeah, so I think an important step for just schools and establishing tip lines in general would be to essentially go through number one, a sort of list of potential action items they would take based on the threat that is presented. For example, in the case that you mentioned, which is like self-harm. And it would be something that schools themselves would essentially communicate together with boards and different adults and also the police department to understand what is the proper procedure, as it can vary based on the school.
All right, Commissioner Khan.
I just want to say this is a wait, is it me? Oh, okay.
Yes, go ahead.
You're all looking back. Like this- Anyways, I just wanted to say that this is a really unique, well thought out recommendation. Honestly, something that I don't think a lot of people think of. So I just wanted to congratulate you on writing it. I think it's really well thought out. I did have a quick question. So you said it mentions that 26% of schools also reported that they did not establish a tip line due to insufficient funds. So with this policy being recommended, would the city have to establish any funds for the tip line?
Wait, sorry, could you repeat the very last part of that?
Yeah, so would the city need to establish any funds for the tip line?
Well, the city would technically work, I guess, like since, for example, there have been multiple situations where schools, for example, didn't necessarily have the funding, but cities were able to, by the Stop School Violence Act of 2018, essentially gain funding for particular like tip lines. So it essentially provides grants and such.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Huang, go ahead.
I wanted to ask if this would be under our jurisdiction as a city, because I don't know if we can impose the policies onto them and make them required, because I believe it's up to the school districts.
Yeah, so I guess specifically for that particular like question of jurisdiction, I think if you take, I guess, the like San Jose Education Initiative, which is something that I believe the library also worked on writing. Technically, it is a service that is being provided to, I guess, like you would count it as like a service, and therefore city school, in this particular case, it would be something that the city would support for school districts in coordination with the school city cooperative. So yeah.
All right. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment this time?
Yes. Jane.
The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, the crisis messaging, I think, is really unfortunate that we've gotten to this point as a country that we need this. Because our peer movement, our longtime mental health peer movement, believes in social inclusion and you know, in workplaces and schools. And I personally and a couple other colleagues around the country have a prayer effort going on, especially for all our children in locked facilities, psychiatric and also incarcerated. So the messaging that's been coming out of our national, well, we'll go into all the politics, but you know, they've been raising the temperature for all of us, and the whole public health redesign, shift to whole person care, continuation of the medical model.
Thank you, Jane. Back to the commission.
So just
Thank you for the comment, Jane. Yeah, we appreciate the feedback and we'll definitely take that into consideration. Are there any other members of the public who wish to comment? All right. In that case, are there any motions on the floor to proceed to vote?
I, Commissioner Gonzalez Muniz, motion to vote.
Thank you. Any seconds?
Commissioner Huang, second.
Thank you. Let's wait for the vote now. The motion passes with 10 in favor and 1 abstention. We can now move on to item I, which would be Commissioner Napati's policy proposal.
Thank you, Chair Chen. I want to start off by saying the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, which is a state agency under the California Natural Resources Agency, and their invasive species program have identified potential invasive species like the eucalyptus tree, which drinks up 200 gallons of water every day. These invasive species have already taken dominance in California and have rapidly established populations. And their program has prioritized educating the public about these species and how their spread can be curtailed. So now moving into the California oak and the REOAK program, which is what this entire policy proposal is about. So although trees like the palm tree and redwood are characteristic for our state, the oak is at the heart of the California native chaparral. There are over 20 species of oaks across California. Oaks can live up to be 400 years. They shade the land and they store vast amounts of carbon. And they also have a deep cultural significance for Native Americans as they're fire resistant. The REOAK program seeks to restore oaks to their previous dominance in woodlands and champions the replanting of oaks. Bringing this program into San Jose will have untold benefits. Not only will it promote the REOAK program, but it will also relay the importance of native plant species which tribes have cultivated in the past. So there's a 4-step process which this policy has detailed in our description for oak restoration in our city. So first we will select sites. Some of the sites that are in consideration are the Almaden Quicksilver County Parks, the Overfelt Garden Parks, the Lake Cunningham and the Lake Cunningham Regional Park. So following this, a team of volunteers We'll begin the planting phase in December, and then garden stakes will be installed to protect the growing oaks from predators. Frequent watering will also be required until the end of May. So in all, these oaks will promote wildfire prevention and native plant biodiversity. More policies to promote native plants and remove invasive plant species will follow. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Khan, go ahead.
I just have a quick comment. I think that this policy is very unique, and I know I've said that about every police policy, but I genuinely think that this is something that nobody thought of. I mean, I think that who would have ever thought that invasive species could be part of the drought that we're experiencing in California? I mean, 2 liters of water, that's a big deal. I think that this policy is really going to pave the way for a lot of different environmental regulations in San Jose that are maybe going to offspring off of this. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that and say that well done. Thank you.
Do any members of the public wish to comment at this time?
Yes, we have one on Zoom.
All right.
Paul Soto, go ahead.
Thank you, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Thank you, Commissioner Jetapati, for this proposal and for your inclusion of the Native American perspective on the oak tree. One thing that I would ask that you add to it is that to add to your knowledge and the document, because what you stated publicly here on the record is not reflected in the document in terms of the Native American element and importance of the California oak to their identity. So I would ask if you can include that language in the document. And the reason also is because the California oak stood as a food source. The acorns were a food source that were ground up. So the Muwekma Ohlone native was directly connected to the California oak because it provided a food source. It was an environmental disaster when we were colonized because the knocking down of the oak trees is what built houses. So there was a significant removal of that as a food source. So maybe you can
Thank you. Back to the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Soto, for those comments. Do any other members of the commission or the public wish to speak? All right, if not, we can proceed to motion. So are there any motions on the floor to proceed to vote?
I, Commissioner Lee, make a motion to vote.
Thank you. Any seconds?
I, Commissioner Lee, second.
Thank you. And let's wait for the vote. The motion passes with 10 in favor and 1 abstention. That also concludes our section 5 discussion/action items, which means we can proceed to section 6 reports and information. First up, we have Ms. Buzo.
Good evening, commissioners. My apologies for the delay there. Yes, Laura Buzo, assistant to the city manager in the city manager's office. I don't have a whole lot to report back on the Children Youth Services Master Plan. Just to reiterate that this month in May and June, we will be meeting with a work group of community advisory members that will include city staff, community partners, families, youth, as well as county department staff in developing and drafting the recommendations and goals for the Children Youth Services Master Plan. And then we will be spending July and August drafting the actual master plan. And I look forward to sharing it with you, with those of you that will be returning to the Youth Commission, as well as the new commissioners at the August retreat. So thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Buzo. It's always nice seeing you in our meetings. Does anyone have any questions or comments at this time? I do not believe there are any questions or comments. So thank you for your time, and well, some of us will see you next year.
Thank
right.
you. Thank you so much for your continued support. And I will definitely miss those of you that leave us.
Yeah, I'll miss you. I'll miss you too.
Calendar year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We can move on to item B, which would be Mr. Dersh.
My name is Alex Dersh. I'm a council assistant for Vice Mayor Rosemary Kamei, representing District 1 in the city of San Jose. Thank you so much for having me to give her report as the council liaison to the San Jose Youth Commission. First, I'd like to share some highlights from the city council's actions since you last met in late April. On April 25th, the council rejected a status report on the Community Opportunity to Purchase Act and adopted a memo to investigate alternative anti-displacement strategies. On May 2nd, the council adopted and created a new climate advisory commission to advise of the city's climate smart plan and pathway to carbon neutrality. They also added to their climate smart plan preservation, restoration, and expansion of green spaces to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. At the council meeting on May 9th, the city accepted a status report on the city's initiatives roadmap to ending homelessness, highlighting the city's efforts to address root causes. And on May 16th, the city voted to end the city's proclamation of the existence of a local emergency for COVID-19 pandemic. And they held a hearing to receive public comments regarding Mayor Matt Mahan's proposal on spending Measure E funds. From the vice mayor herself, she's been really active this month, serving the residents of District 1 and the people of San Jose. On April 25th, she was the author of that policy memo to direct staff to investigate anti-displacement strategies that will better leverage limited public funds for affordable housing preservation. On May 16th, Vice Mayor Kamei was proud to join her fellow Asian American Pacific Islander colleagues, Council members Bien Doan of District 7 and Councilmember Arjun Batra of District 10, in proclaiming Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month for May 2023. She was proud as well to present the proclamation to Asian Americans for Community Involvement, an organization that has served San Jose and Santa Clara County for 50 years. Vice Mayor Kamei attended multiple AAPI month celebration events across the city and county, a celebration at SJSU's Asian American Studies Department, a celebration for ACCI with the city of Mountain View and Supervisor Joe Smidian, and a celebration just yesterday with San Jose Public Library Foundation. Some upcoming community engagement opportunities in the city include Paint the City SJ, which will have events across the city providing free painting supplies to decorate our parks and other public locations and provide stencils for people to make beautiful designs. There will also be the Make Music San Jose event Wednesday, June 21st, with music performances open to the public at community centers, parks, and other spaces. Viva Calle is a popular event that you may have participated in already, and the next one will be on June 11th, where streets are closed off for biking, walking, and having family fun. And this one will go from Roosevelt Park through the Sofa District to San Carlos. And likewise, Viva Park's neighborhood in downtown will have similar fun activities open to the public across the city. And if you want to check out more of these events, you can go to sanjoseca.gov/placemaking. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dersh. It's always nice hearing these updates. And to my fellow commissioners, I strongly encourage attending Viva Calle. It's a lot of fun.
Really quick, Gordon, can you please come up front here?
Up front?
Yeah, come up front. Mr. Dersh, on behalf of Vice Mayor Kamei, would like to present you with a certificate of appreciation as your work as chair and the past 2 years you've served on the Youth Commission. And so he's going to present it to you right now and read it aloud to you.
Since July 1st, 2021, Gordon Chen has served as member of the City of San Jose Youth Commission for Council District 1 and as chair of the commission since August 2022. As member and chair, he has been a distinguished advocate for the interests and values of young people from District 1. His service and leadership are an inspiration for other young people in the City of San Jose to give back to their community through advocacy and public service. In recognition of the end of his term on May 31st, 2023, Vice Mayor Rosemary Kamei, on this 22nd day of May 2023, hereby commends and thanks Jordan Chen for for his service to our city.
I asked, like, surprise. All right, smile this way. Wonderful, thank you.
Congratulations.
Sorry to hijack the meeting.
Y'all are gonna make me cry. All right. Okay. All right. But barring that really great aside, again, thank you, Mr. Dersh, very much for your time. It's always nice hearing these updates. Come to Viva Calle. And yeah, you're the best. Okay. We can move on now to Mr. Georgioff.
All right, impossible acts to follow, but here we go. My name is Nick Georgioff, Recreation Supervisor for Parks and Rec. Today we'll be showing off, we're about to kick off our summer season 3 weeks from Monday. So here's just a quick map. If you all were at NSC a few weeks ago, you might have seen this before, but here are the majority of our locations that we're running City of San Jose led programs. Our popular all-day Camp San Jose model, Fit Camp. We have a bunch of teen centers open this summer. Camp San Jose Junior for our 3 to 5 year olds. 6 pools will be open across San Jose. We have our summer food service program at 9 sites this year, and many of our regional parks will be open with their own camps and classes. If you ever have any questions or want to know what's going on in your neighborhood, all of our community activity guides are available online at issue.com. So we have 12 different guides, 10 for all of our community hub centers, plus 1 for therapeutics with their all action sports and recreation programs, and 1 for our regional parks. You can also go online to sjregistration.com to take a look at where all the available camps and classes are in your area. Make this push every time I've been here, but we are continuing to look for and hire lifeguards and lifeguard instructors. You can earn up to $26 an hour, depending on your certification. And the City of San Jose will help provide certification for those who qualify. A few highlights of our Community Services Division. They are also looking to hire some community activity workers in the Beautify SJ and Project Hope programs. The community activity worker, they're responsible for setting up and planning, attending resource fairs and neighborhood-based outreach events, for developing working relationships with schools, volunteers, internal and external stakeholders and nonprofit partners, and assisting community coordinators with behavior change and encampment engagement strategies. At Project Hope, you're looking to build strong relationships with residents, partners, and community to assist neighborhood associations and board meetings with planning and meetings and events, and to provide in-service trainings and workshops for community leaders to ensure self-sustainability of those neighborhood associations. And final plug for the Community Services Division is that Beautify SJ will be having their annual summer festival at the Kirk Center on Saturday, June 17th. A lot of fun family activities from 10:30 to 1. And that is it for our recreation update. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Georgioff. It's always nice hearing from you and all the exciting, fun stuff coming up. And yeah, it's summertime. So fellow commissioners might as well get out there and escape your laptops for a while, right? And yeah, thank you again for your time. Up next would be Ms. Ornat.
Good evening, commissioners. On Saturday, May 13th, the West Valley branch celebrated 20 years of success. The event attracted over 1,000 community members. The celebration began with a morning birthday theme story time, followed by live performances, treats, and activities. Opening remarks are provided by Mayor Matt Mahan, Vice Mayor Rosemary Kamei, and former District 1 Council Member Linda Lizotte. In May, we have quite a few things to celebrate and to recognize. The first is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, honoring the contributions and influence of the AAPI community through a series of events and blogs written by our very own staff bloggers. We also honor Jewish American Heritage Month by highlighting a collection of books that celebrate Jewish American history and culture, including a personal story from one of our librarians and a staff blogger who shares her experience growing up in a Jewish American household. May is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and we invite you to take a short reflective reading journey with us as we share a few tips, readings, and resources for your self-care. And lastly, we extend an invitation to honor and remember our fallen soldiers this Memorial Day, which is Monday, May 29th. And by learning more about this National Day observance, you can read recommendations on our website. And for more information about these celebrations and observances, please visit sjpl.org. Since you talked about summer learning is here. Pre-registration is now open, and everyone is invited to sign up for our annual summer learning program. The annual program starts June 1st and goes through July 31st. You can register online at sjpl.org/summer. And you can also go to your nearest library branch to receive a fun prize for all ages. This summer, we're providing a new opportunity for summer learning participants who can now have their reading sponsored to raise funds for the library through its new Read to Raise fundraiser. Funds raised from June 1st through July 31st will directly support next year's 2024 summer learning program. And my favorite announcement of the night is that it's the season for awards. The San Jose Public Library is incredibly proud to have 6 award-winning staff members this year. This group of staff is recognized by the following organizations in different categories, whether it be for their creativity in shaping the future of libraries, accomplishments of an exceptional library professional, or honoring the highest quality efforts in promoting and communicating the value of libraries. Library Journal is the main library journal magazine for libraries across the United States. And every year there is an issue that highlights movers and shakers from around the country and internationally. This year, 2 San Jose Public Library members received this honor. This is a big deal in the library world. What's even more incredible is that one of these people didn't even know this award existed. Carla Alvarez, our library's racial equity and inclusion manager, received a Top Innovator Award. And in the advocate category, Lizzie Nolan, our youth services manager, also a 2023 Library Journal Mover and Shaker. It's a big deal. California Library Association also has awards. This year, our marketing communications team have won an award, and I don't know how many they've won so far, but it's quite a few. But this year, they won for Sundays on Sunday, the New Hours campaign. And so we have 3 people who were awarded this. Elizabeth Castaneda, who is our public information manager, Nancy Macias, public information rep, and also Moses Moreno. And lastly, California Library Association gives out an award for young adult service. That award this year went to Megan Malloy, our youth services librarian. We are so incredibly proud and honored to get to work with a multi-talented group of professionals, and we thank them for the outstanding work that they produce. Additionally, these people, as well as other people who we can't name yet because the awards haven't been announced yet, will be recognized at the American Library Association Annual Conference in Chicago in June. So please, again, join us in congratulating our staff. And best of luck also. Congratulations to all of you for the work that you've done this year. Thank you.
All right, guys, one more round of applause for our faves. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, Ms. Moy, Ms. Nolan, you guys are our faves. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. The next item on the agenda would be the commission chair report. That's me. So this, as most of you guys definitely know, this is our last meeting of the fiscal year. There will be a new host of commissioners coming in to replace those of us graduating and leaving. And yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck in that. And in terms of upcoming events, and events that happens, we presented at NSE. That was really fun. That went really well. And I believe Commissioner Liu has an event on Sunday. And just a note to all of the other commissioners, please take photos of your events to send to our amazing Commissioner Bansal for our social media because we want to overtake the SF Youth Commission's Instagram. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that basically is it for me for the chair report. So moving on, commissioners reports per se district. Again, that will start with me. I will be replaced by a new District 1 commissioner, but I trust that the new District 1 commissioner will be amazing. And yeah, we're wrapping everything up right now. And I look forward to coming back one day and seeing that great things have been done. Commissioner Liu, go ahead.
As a graduating senior, this will also be my last meeting. I just wanted to say thank you for having me this year. It has been an honor to serve as your District 2 commissioner, and I can't wait to see what you guys all do in the future.
Commissioner Huang, go ahead.
For my district update at our last YAC meeting, we went over our fiscal year work plan, edited it, and added some comments in preparation for the new year.
Commissioner Khan?
Can't believe this is my final report as youth commissioner. I will also be graduating. My time serving as District 4's youth commissioner has been such an honor. It's been so fulfilling. And as of right now, like Commissioner Khan, I'm working with Councilmember David Cohen to recruit the next youth commissioner for our district. We're also currently working on wrapping up final events and projects and providing effective training to the next commissioner, which is very important to make sure that the transition for the next leader is smoother. I've been honored to serve, and I feel incredibly grateful to be surrounded with like-minded individuals who share the same passion as me so unselfishly, who care so much about their communities, dedicating their time to advocate for what they believe in. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Commissioner Liu?
Yeah, thank you for all the touching leaving remarks. I'm gonna miss y'all that are graduating. So District 5 is hosting a transition conference on May 28th. This will be a YAC and Youth Commission District 5 event. So unfortunately, it's not open to the public. But at this conference, we will be reflecting upon the year and creating new goals and visions for the next year. I will also be meeting with Councilmember Ortiz's staff to prepare for the upcoming fiscal year. And that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Bansal?
In District 6, we've just been working on the communications aspect, kind of like our Instagram and our social media, just to increase youth engagement. And personally, we're kind of like wrapping it up here, but I just want to say this year has been so fun and I'm gonna miss all my seniors. But congrats, guys. Good luck.
Commissioner Sierra?
Yeah, so essentially, the District 7 YAC has kind of just been going on with our usual stuff. Recently, we wrote the anonymous tip line proposal that you saw earlier. And along with that, we've been working on potentially building a website so we're more organized in terms of being more transparent in what we do. And along with that, just wanted to say a final note, like a goodbye to all my seniors. I love you guys so much, and it's been such a pleasure to work with all of you throughout the past 2 years. And I'm sure you all are going to do amazing things in the future.
I can promise you she's lying about loving me, but yeah. Commissioner Gonzalez-Miguez?
I just want to say I'm with you guys. I hope you guys have a good life and figure out your career and figure out what you want to do. And I hope everything becomes successful with you guys. And I just want to say ever since I joined it, I felt happy with you guys and I felt comfortable, and then also learned a lot of stuff. And that's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Singh?
Yeah, so for my district, we're kind of just wrapping up, finishing all the end of the year stuff. And we got our flyers out, or we're pretty much done drafting them. So in the beginning of the next year or next fiscal year, we're gonna send them out to the schools. And on another note, I'm also very glad that I got to work with you guys that are exiting, and I hope you guys have the best time in college.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes, so I too am a senior, so I'm going to be going off into the scary world of college. I'm going to be signing out as the District 10 Youth Leadership Commissioner. Our last meeting is going to be this Thursday, May 25th, and we're going to be wrapping things up there. We're going to be beginning training for the next year soon, so that I can make sure that our team has the best starting point going forward. Speaking of which, I'm very proud to introduce our next District 10 Youth Commissioner. It's going to be Nolan Mascarenas. He's going to be taking over our D10 YLC, as we call it, and I think he's going to do a great job. So passing the torch along, and Alexander Lee out.
Commissioner Ampati, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this was my first year, but I think to all the seniors, I've learned so much from you. You have been icons, and I mean, every policy proposal that you put out, all the help that you gave me as I was navigating my way through the Youth Commission and figuring things out, I really appreciate that. And I think all of you have just been fantastic. So that I would like to applaud you, but I have 30 seconds left. Other than that, I've mostly been working on this proposal, and I'll have a more fleshed out version and when we return. So yeah, I mean, I look forward to parting with more tears on the award ceremony night. And yeah, it's been a great year.
All right, that concludes the last commissioner reports for this fiscal year. Does anyone at this point in time wish to place an item on the August agenda of next year? All right, thought so. Okay, so the next regular meeting will be held on August 28th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in person. And before we adjourn, I'm going to torture you guys a little more with a very brief monologue. All right, very brief. So first of all, I just want to extend like a really, really heartfelt thanks to the amazing city and library staff who help us run and facilitate every meeting. Yeah, like you guys are just amazing, and I cannot express how grateful I am, because without you guys, like none of this would happen at all. And yeah, like that's the best way to put it. So seriously, thank you. I also want to thank all of our presenters, our regular presenters at every meeting. Sometimes I am in a little bit of a rush trying to shift between points, but I also want to express from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. It means the world to us as a commission, and it just brings us in the loop more, and it allows us to be more informed in the decisions we make. And yeah, overall, just thank you to everyone involved. And a very special thank you to Miss Malloy for just being the best overall. Like, that's the best way to put it. Again, you're the best. And yeah, this is the last meeting. A little emotional. This was definitely the most eventful meeting of my 2 years here. I will say that. And yeah, I still remember walking into my first in-person meeting and realizing that everyone was way more dressed up than I was. But I'm glad to see that the casual wear has sort of held for this year. So yeah, I'm happy that I'm a trendsetter. So yeah, overall, just another round of thank yous to everyone in this room. And seriously appreciate everyone. We'll miss y'all. And there will be more heartfelt comments at the end of the year event, which I hope everyone has RSVP'd for. All right, cool. Everyone has nominated a YAC member if they're willing to. All right, well set then. So yeah, stay tuned for, I don't know what I'm going to say yet, but stay tuned for some really amazing comments that will change your life, you know? So yeah, with that, is there any motion on the floor to adjourn for tonight?
I, Commissioner Singh, motion to adjourn.
All right, any seconds?
I, Commissioner Lee, second that motion.
Let's just do this verbally. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. All opposed? Any abstentions?